Okay, so I know I'm late to the party, but I gotta talk about this one. Warner Bros., after spending 7 months and $70 million, canceled the Batgirl movie while it was in the final stages of post-production. Not production, post-production. They were screening it to audiences, which means it was less than a year away from coming out. Typically, when a movie is this bad and they're this far along in production, they'd release it anyway. Back in the day, they would still put it in theaters, but with limited marketing in a month that people typically don't go to see movies, like September or February. Or they'd release it straight to video, or in this case, streaming. They're not even doing that. Not only will it not be in theaters ever, but it won't be available for rent or on HBO-Max afterwards. They're completely canceling it as if it never existed. Now, conservatives are hailing it as some type of victory. They're taking it as if it's some type of sign that Hollywood is finally listening to them and they're going to stop making these movies with progressive messaging.
I'd agree with the wokeness of Hollywood, which is one reason you would imagine why Batgirl has now been scrapped. The movie was supposed to be sort of a woke bonanza, according to pretty much everybody who had seen it.
But that's not the case. It's really a money move. You see, Warner Bros. Has a new CEO, a man named David Zaslav. He was the CEO over at Discovery Media when they acquired Warner Brothers in the merger. And now he's the guy in charge of the newly merged company. And he doesn't like the fact that this new company is facing $53 billion worth of debt. So he wants to trim the fat. And in his mind, that means deprioritizing HBO-Max. Because Zaslav is an old school cat. He's not a fan of the streaming services. When he was running Discovery, he was hesitant to get into the streaming war. And as a result, Discovery was one of the last networks to create an app. But Warner Brothers, prior to him taking over, was very aggressive in the streaming wars. They decided to make HBO-Max the centerpiece of their entire network. That means everything they produced would be done in regards to how it would benefit HBO-Max, how they would compete with Netflix, Hulu, Amazon Prime, and Disney+. But now with Zaslav in charge, it's gone from being the center of everything they do to just a piece of what they do. Because he's more focused on broadcast television and the movie theater business model. He doesn't particularly care for HBO-Max or streaming as a distribution platform as a whole. And that's evident in the massive changes he's made. Along with canceling Batgirl, he's terminated 10 major projects at HBO-Max that include Raised by Wolves and the Charmed reboot. He's also changed how soon Warner Brothers movies will come to the streaming service. If you remember, HBO was going to do day one releases, meaning the day that a movie debuted in theaters, it would also debut on a streaming service. Then once everything opened back up, it went from day one releases to saying, okay, we'll release our movies 45 days after they debut in theaters. Zaslav scrapped all of that when he got in charge. Just like it was before the pandemic, just like it was before HBO Max launched. Movies will debut first in theaters with no definitive date as to when they'll come to HBO Max. As a matter of fact, he said that when a movie leaves a theater, they're going to go first to the rental stores before they make their appearance on HBO Max. So you see what he's doing here? He's making HBO Max the last priority of the company. And they're getting away from the big budget exclusive content for the platform. Basically, he wants to treat it the way Fox, NBC, and ABC did Hulu 15 years ago, when it was a dumping ground for all the stuff they already aired on TV. Okay, so how does all that boring stuff apply to Batgirl? How does that explain why it was canceled? Well, the simple answer is because it sucked. I'll explain, just stay with me. The movie sucked because of these two guys, Bilal Fallah and Adil Arabi. They're the directors of Batgirl. Now, if you don't know who they are, they're the guys responsible for making Ms. Marvel. And we all know how bad that was. Ms. Marvel, in spite of all the praise it got from the activist media, was a flaming dumpster fire. Not only did it fail commercially, but it failed with audiences. It was the lowest streamed MCU project in the history of Disney+. And if that isn't bad enough, it was written by Christina Hodson, who wrote Birds of Prey, which also failed at the box office. And it stars Lisa Grace as Batgirl. If you don't know who that is, don't feel bad. None of us do. She's a struggling pop artist who, prior to this project, last starred in a movie called In the Heights, another movie that bombed at the box office. So, for those of you that are keeping score at home, let's review what's going on. Warner Bros., before Zaslav was in charge, greenlit a movie by two hack directors that was written by a failed screenwriter starring an actress nobody knows for a character nobody cares about. Well, it's no wonder the test screenings were so horrible. So bad, in fact, that Warner Brothers didn't deem it worthy to appear in theaters. And this is why this is connected to the boring stuff I was talking about earlier. Because the movie isn't good enough to put in the theaters, and Zaslav no longer wants to prioritize HBO-Max as the centerpiece of the company, he had no place to put it but on the shelf. The bottom line is, the movie didn't have anything going for it, he didn't have a place to put it, and so it just made more sense to write it off as a loss for taxes. But even after all that, this isn't the end for Batgirl. When news got out about the project being canceled, all of the SJWs took to social media to voice their disgust, crying, racism, chauvinism, sexism, all the isms. And Warner Brothers knows this is a bad look PR-wise, which tells me they're not going to completely shelve the character. They'll bring her back, and they'll bring the actress back. Maybe she'll make an appearance in the next Batman movie or the new Penguin series spinoff featuring Colin Farrell. And eventually, they'll give her a movie on her own, later down the line, but without the aforementioned idiots behind the camera. But they're not going to shelve her. And when they do bring her back, conservatives will still hate it. Because the movie was not canceled with them in mind. Because conservatives are detached from the culture. They're not a demographic Hollywood cares about. Because they hate damn near everything that comes out of Hollywood anyway. And regardless how much they hate it, those movies still make money if they're good. Take the Batman, for example. People on the right were mad because Commissioner Gordon and Catwoman were cast with black actors. They even lied about it. A lot of them were saying that it advocated deleting white people to end white privilege. But it still made $800 million worldwide. So, Batgirl wasn't canceled because Warner Brothers is concerned about what people on the right felt about it. And all those conservatives slapping fives because they think they got a victory don't know what they're talking about. It was canceled because it sucked. And Warner Brothers had no place to put it. End of story. Alright, I'm going to wrap things up right here, and I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. Please like, leave a comment, and share this video with your friends. And if you are new to my channel, please subscribe and turn on that notification bell. That way you will get alerts every time I upload new content. This is the Laymans Journal. Thanks for stopping by. I'm out.